live. Now, let's see if we're live on Instagram. Hey, everybody, it's me, Christian Jackson, and I am ready for the Grace Gap workshop. I hope you guys are too. So, let's get the people on IG on. Hey, Couch Crew, it's me, it's Christian Jackson. I am the Daddy Issues Therapist. Yes, I am back. I haven't done this in a long time, you guys. Like, actually go live, um, literally in like a year or so, like consistently, but I'm going to give you that for the next 5 weeks. I'm really excited about that. If you are new to the page, welcome to the Couch Crew. I'll be watching you here on Instagram, you here on Facebook, and I'm going to do my best, my absolute best, to make sure that I am into this chat. So let me get my life together. It looks like I got my chat up on Facebook. The IG is a lot easier to read. Okay, so we're good. You guys, I have been going through the things. You may have noticed that I have not posted as much if you are someone who's been part of the Couch Crew since 2020. So I'm the Daddy Issues Therapist because I am a therapist with the symptoms of the abandonment, the rejection, and the questioning myself, and all the things related to what happened with my dad and me. Obviously, a lot going on there, and I'm here to be super transparent about what that experience has been like. Not the daddy story. You buy the book for the daddy story because that's not why we're here. But you got to know the context, right? So I find it really important as part of my brand to be transparent about what I'm going through, how I'm dealing with it, how I am healing in real time. And you were likely here and been following me since 2020 or recently because you're stuck in a relationship, not even talking about the ones that are intimate and significant to you in terms of like your kids, your husband, all the things. Like you're probably stuck in a relationship with yourself that is super annoying. And I gotta say that I have been sick of me. I've been in this space in the last year where I am not necessarily like congruent or making choices that really make sense as to who I am and what my values are because I've never been here before. I'm in a new spot. I am growing and evolving and changing, and yet there are parts of me that are staying exactly the same. And so you're stopping the scroll and watching because you are probably stuck in a relationship with yourself that you're sick of. And let's break this down and be very clear. The parts of yourself that show up and drive the boat, drive the car, drive the whatever it is that you keeps you going is likely the parts that have seen most of the trauma and said, hey, you need to stay right up in here in this survival mode because if you don't, and we don't do the things the way we always do, we are going to combust. So if you've heard me talk before, then we talk about these different parts of us. And I want to introduce you to Ray Ray. But before we do that, I'd be remiss as a therapist if I did not say, take care of yourself. This is not therapy. This is the internet. This is social media, okay? But I do hope to give you something super valuable that you can take with you. The entire point of me coming to this little corner of the internet that is all mine at Couch with Christian is not only to share with you what's going on, how and why you got to where you are. It's not even to tell you that I'm perfect and that I am here to toot some horn and be figuring some things out. My brand the entire time has been this journey of watching how I build this brand. It's a reflection of me when I was going through and I was not really understanding what was going on with me in the last year, I was also silent on the internet. Like you were watching in real time how I deal with things, right? So this is a space for you to ask me questions, show up in the chat. When you're watching the replay, engage with me and each other about the things that we're going to talk about tonight because I want to be intentional. The grace method is part of the daddy issues movement. It's part of what I actually wrote back in 2020. Y'all, it's almost been 5 years since I dropped and self-published daddy issues. And in order for me to really give you what I think is helpful, I'm relying on a couple things. One being my own experience is what all of my content is built out of. I don't take you anywhere I haven't been. So me using the grace method is in real time something that has been really helpful for me. It's really important for you to know that I am working these steps in real time and I share them. And I'm like, oh, this was helpful. And this is what I want to do. Secondly, I am licensed. Okay. I have been doing therapy for a long time. It is really important to me that you know that I am trained. And so I am not here just to kind of throw things out to the wind. Some people on different corners of the internet like to do that, but I need y'all to know that I'm licensed and we're doing the things from my experience. experience. And what I found as a therapist are patterns, is what I look for. When I'm treating people, I'm like, hey, there are commonalities, and why not take it to the masses? So that's what I built Couch with Christian on. Go back, check me out, get my vibe. And now that I'm done introducing a little bit of myself, take care of yourself. I need you to know that some of the things that come up may be triggering. And what I decided to do, instead of one day, which was going to be last Saturday, June 28th, 2025, of me doing the Grace Gap workshop all in one fell swoop, two ticket sales said no, that's not it. And I don't want to put God in everything, but I will say I feel like I'm being obedient in this space where I'm like, you know what? We need to walk through the grace method step by step for the next few weeks. Like, let's not rush it. Where are we going? Who cares, right? We're going to hear what we need to hear while we're together on the internet, and I'm going to give you the grace method, and we're going to talk about the grace gap. So, grace method, what is it? A 5-step framework that is going to help you identify what your body is doing, even right now. And if you're here live, let me know in the chat how you're feeling. What is your body physically doing? As you're watching this in the replay, what are you noticing in terms of shift in your body? What does that actually physically feel like when you sit here and you say, hey, I'm sitting with the daddy issues therapist on the internet? What is she going to tell me? Pay attention to what your body is physically doing, because I want you to practice what this feels like to intentionally take care of yourself. The grace method is there to help you have language, right? So let me go back, right? I talked a little bit about how I can be sick of me. And a lot of us are in relationships with other people, and I don't know that we pay attention as regularly as I would like. I'll speak for myself, to the relationship with us, like with me. And when I say us, I mean me, myself, and I, yes, but I gotta tell you a little bit about Ray Ray. I name my parts. I encourage my clients to do that. So the parts that come up for you that you know drive the car and make most of the decisions, I need you to first of all, like, sit with that. What does that mean? Okay. For example, and you can go by my example if you need to, Ray Ray is 12 years old. Ray Ray was born when my parents separated, and she didn't know what in the world was going on. She was confused, she was lost, she was hopeful, she was sad, and there was a lack of stability. And so, as I was watching my mom trying to adjust being a new parent, frankly, because she had never been a divorced single mom before, and trying to navigate life with two kids, the two kids she had before she was 20 years old, right? Or before she was even 21, 12-year-old person, me, Ray Ray, immediately was born like survival mode. I needed to figure out, because my mom was in a different space and my parents were just like not together, that left a rift in our family. So I felt responsible for emotions that I couldn't even name. Have you ever been in that spot where you're just like, I don't even know what this means? I need to figure this out. But in the meantime, I'm going to do what feels good in the moment. Let's talk about how when we are going through the trauma and through the things, we are not the person that we are quote unquote supposed to be. Hindsight, as they say, is 2020. During the trauma, you were just surviving. You were literally just trying to stay alive. And as a 12-year-old trying to figure out what's going on, and being frustrated with not having the language, Ray Ray was born, and she pops up now with 39-year-old Christian when I don't feel heard. If I am triggered to the point where I feel like I have to repeat myself and I can't use the language that I know makes sense in my head, or I know I feel in my body that it's not right, but I can't name it and put a feeling to it, a feeling's word to it, that is when Ray Ray is triggered. She's triggered when she's at work and there are people ganging up and they're like, oh my God, I can't understand why you would do this thing if I'm standing up for myself. Because now 39-year-old Christian is an adult. She knows how to use her voice. She's a licensed therapist, for God's sake. So she knows and has the language for the feelings and the emotions that come up. I can process them with other people. I can do it with myself if I don't run from myself. But let's just talk about it. Ray Ray shows up a lot whenever I don't feel safe, when I don't feel secure, when I am all over the place, when I'm learning something new, and I go back to that default. If that is you, you let me know in the chat, engage with me, talk to me in the replay. I'll come back and I'll engage, because we have to know what part of us shows up the most. That is the one that's making most of the decisions for you. And that is where I need to differentiate what the daddy issues movement is and what it is not. When I talk about daddy issues, it is not to give you the license to say, hey, my daddy did not do this or did do this when I was such and such age for however long, and I can do what the heck I want to do. That is not what the Daddy Issues movement is. It is not what it means. Again, if you're new here and you're here at Couch with Christian and you are in my corner of the internet, know this. You are here to have awareness. I'm bringing that to you. And then once you know what it is, I like to take you to the next step, right? That is what the Grace Method is going to help us do. Grace is grounding yourself, rescript, adjust, connect, and enforce. And over the next few weeks, we're going to talk a little bit more slowly and more intentionally about what the Grace Method is, about what your gaps are. Tonight, we're going to get a little bit more into mine. I shared a bit last week, but I want to get more into the prompts of how I can really process this information. What is the Grace Gap, and why do we even start there? Okay, if you have any questions, let me know in the chat. I do see that you're here live, but I wanted to go ahead and let you guys know what we're getting into tonight. We know what the grace method is. It is a vessel. It is a vessel that says, hey, Christian, you need to know that Ray Ray's shown up. She has seen the most trauma. She has been through the most things. She's carried this for the longest and she's tired and she's burnt out. She is a people pleaser who doesn't really use her voice, and she's someone who is really tired of carrying the weight for so long. Like, when are we going to take care of Ray Ray? The grace method comes in right there. So, before we get into what the method is and what my gap is, I want to know what yours are. If you've already taken the quiz, let me know in the chat, whether you're live or on the replay, what is your grace gap? The link is in the bio on Instagram, and I do have it pinned here in the comments on Facebook. If you would like to take the Grace Cap, then that is how you'll access it. It's really easy. Why do we need to know what the Grace Gap is? Because if you don't know where you're starting, you don't know where you're going. It's awareness. We have to know where we are so we can actually draw the map to our new space. We're not saying it's daddy's fault and this is why I am the way I am. We're actually saying, hey, this is what's going on. And now that I know this thing, I'm going to go and address it. The Grace Gap helps you do that. When I'm in therapy, if I'm having just therapeutic conversations like this, like we're not in therapy, everybody don't need it. But when I'm having a conversation with someone about change, we got to know what's getting in the way. We're not able to go there unless you are grounded and have your feet here to know what's going on. Remember that you are safe. What mantra do you need so that you can tell yourself intentionally that I am safe while I identify this deficit, this barrier, so that I can make the change? It doesn't mean we're less than, we're taking the shame out of it. The Grace Gap actually helps you do that. So if you go take the quiz, and I'm going to leave this alone actually. The quiz I was going to show you as a screen share, but I have never used that feature on Facebook. I will not be doing that. If you're leaving and you're going to come back, that's totally fine. Take the Grace Gap quiz. It is literally just about, let's see, there are 7 questions here in the Grace Gap. And I'm going to read a couple of them here for you. The first question asks you, when anxiety hits, my first move is to do what? Do I know what Ray Ray does when she's super anxious? Yeah, I feel it in my body, and that's something that I'm aware of. But then what do? Do I talk back to the worry? Am I pretty good at talking myself out of things? Do I send a call or text and like get the person on the phone to help me talk down? Do I take notice of my body and I stay there and I freeze as one of the trauma responses? Like, what do you actually do when your anxiety hits? Then we want to know, I know I need a new habit when. And this is a very interesting question. I like some of these answers where you'll go ahead and respond in one of these quiz responses. I stick to the same routine because perhaps it feels unsafe for you to make any changes. Is that what you do when you are introduced or you know you need a new habit? And knowing you need a new habit is something like, I'm doing the same thing, it's not working. I've talked to a lot of people over the years, about over a decade of doing therapy, and a lot of the same questions I get similar especially when it comes to dating and relationships and toxicity and all that is, why do I keep dating the same person? What's happening? Why am I attracting the wrong people? And a lot of that is because we're so numb and like in this mode of just being here that we don't even want to make the move. We don't want to make the food because it doesn't feel safe. I know I need a new habit when I'm probably dated the same person and broke up with them for the same reason, or the relationship ended or shifted, or there's a pattern in these connections. That's when we know the Grace Gap quiz helps you to answer this question so you know when you need a new habit. I tend to let's see, I do tend to get very quiet and feel small. Someone in the chat here in IG, thank you for sharing, is telling us what she does when, I assume, your anxiety hits. Feeling small. Ooh, that's a word. Shrinking yourself. How many times have we shrunken ourselves so that we feel safe? And that is not to be something to ignore. It's not something that's wrong or anything. I really love that you made this comment here in the chat and IG, because feeling small is a great clue, or shrinking is what this is making me think of. And you correct your experience for me if you need to. I think of that being a really great clue as to what you need when you are anxious. We need to understand and know that knowing these clues about ourselves is golden. This is like the first step. The Grace Gap helps you do that so that you know where to go. If you know you feel small, I wonder if it's helpful if you also shrink, that you give yourself one of these hugs and like kind of pull yourself in. That is a great clue as to what you need to cope. And that's what the Grace Method helps you do, because you walk through addressing your self care symptoms. Love that. Thank you for sharing. So, in a tough moment, I feel like I need to freeze. That is another one of the questions, number 3 on the Grace Gap quiz. Again, we're talking about how can you know where you're going if you don't know where you started. The Grace Gap is going to ask you what your responses are in these moments. Do you withdraw from others? Do you run? I'm definitely a runner, and we'll talk about that with my Grace Gap connection. After making a mistake, I tend to sit with my feelings until they go away. I'm mean to myself. I bottle it up. I blame it on someone else because I want to avoid whatever this responsibility is. These are just a few of the questions on the Grace Gap quiz. If you take this, what will happen is you will enter your email and you will get a response for what your Grace Gap is, which is really, oh my gosh, my mother is on here and her result was connection. Mommy, that was mine too. That's so interesting. So we're here to talk about that, right? When you take the quiz, you put your email in, you get it back, and it will say, hey, your grace gap is boom, boom, boom. And it's all related to the grace method, of course. Is your grace gap grounding? Is it rescripting? Is it adjusting? Is it connection? Is it enforcing proper boundaries? You're going to get an email or two with some really great prompts and things for you to sit with so that you work with the connection piece. Now, that hopefully makes sense to you. When you get into it, make sure you let me know and come back and tell me what your grace gap is. So, your grace gap, if you want to equate it to something, think about it as your stuck points. You're kind of stuck there. I started the call by saying you're probably stopping this scroll because you likely feel stuck. You feel stuck in your relationships, not with just other people, but with yourself. Stuck in your job, stuck in the way that I'm doing these things. I'm doing all these different things that I know have worked, quote unquote, for me for years, but then I noticed that they're my trauma responses, because you've been coming to Couch with Christian and you're realizing that this is not necessarily the healthiest thing. Yes, it's keeping me alive, but it's not necessarily productive. The stuck point, I'm stuck at this moment and I'm tired of being tired, and I'm silencing myself to keep the peace, right? So now it's story time. Let's talk about that silence. My thing here on this corner of the internet, as I like to say, is that as a therapist, what I'm really more interested in now, especially with daddy issues, is the attachment piece, right? Attachment being, I have a parent child relationship that has influenced how I live and trust in the world and in relationships. That is what attachment is. It fascinates me. It's why I think I do the work that I do, especially on a college campus, talking about these ruptures, attachment ruptures. Like, where did it break up? Like, the impact of not having my dad in my life. You insert that blank. My mom, us having a certain rupture, a disconnection. How does that affect the way that I am? That is really interesting, right? That's where I do the reading and the research that I do, because I'm working on my PhD now. It's really important for me to understand, what can we get back to? Whether it was healthy or not, everywhere in between, how does attachment affect your relationships with yourself and with other people? I do believe that is a huge foundational piece to understanding things, right? So I have an anxious attachment lean because, of course, there are categories, and I don't want you to put yourself in a box. But if you were to read anything about attachment, a lot of the evolution of that theory is that there are 4 different attachment styles you have. We will talk about that another time. If you want to have that talk, you let me know later. But for the purposes of tonight and my story to you about my background and for context, I am more of an anxiously attached person. I'm going to be more of a giver of only certain parts of me, which I've learned about myself in this last year, so that you don't hurt me, right? I would rather give up and sacrifice and give and do things so that you don't leave me. So then here we are talking about this person, me, who I've always thought was like really loves people, and I'm an extrovert. And so what I've learned about my connection with people is that I would silence myself and give up pieces of who I am because I don't want you to leave me. I would create an illusion of peace, PEACE, by giving up pieces of myself, physically, emotionally, financially, all the things, just to have you in my life. So that translates to Christian. Just be quiet. Don't say anything because they may not want to know this part of you. If you tell them, you're going to scare them away. They're not going to want to be your friend. They're not going to want to date you. It's not going to be any longer. You're not going to want to make this connection with this person, or they're not going to want to connect with you because you are talking too much. If you are quiet, Christian, you will keep this relationship. And that is what I am just learning about myself. I have done the things. I journal a lot more now. I understand that why silence is so uncomfortable. For me, I used to say, it's a trigger for me. Silence is a trigger for me. Not understanding that's my anxiety. Silence is a trigger for me because I'm thinking of the times that I had to be quiet so that I wouldn't get in trouble, right? Maybe it is childhood stuff, whatever you want to call it. But how do you consider your trauma responses, the way you show up, the way you respond to things, the way you react? Let's call it that. How does that affect your relationships? And what does that have to do with the grace gap? I'm going to tell you. Thank you so much. I see somebody in the chat and Instagram, the adjust gap. And we're going to get to the adjust gap in about 3 to 4 weeks. Adjusting your self care needs. That's what that is. So if we get into what I realized in terms of silence, um, silence was my way of connecting with people. As extroverted as I am, and if you know me and I love people, I realized I like to be in space with people, which I'm like, sure, I'm instantly connecting to people. This is a thing. But being with somebody is different. The connection gap was so weird for me to learn that that was my grace gap when I took my own quiz, was that I realized that the silence felt like connection to me because I was physically with you. But if I didn't speak up, um, I felt like I'm keeping that connection. I won't be abandoned. I was with you physically, but not with you to where you could see me. And if I'm quiet, you're not going to see everything. Mind blowing for me to understand that I'm still, as extroverted as I am, like I said, still hiding parts of myself from people, including my own husband. Been together almost 20 years, married for 9 this year. Don't quote me, babe. We just celebrated our anniversary. Been married for a long time, long enough for him to see and live with me and understand my gaps before I see them. Now, this is the catch. I am hopeful that I feel connected to my husband in one way, and yet different parts of me, Ray Ray especially, likes to come up and she likes to fight for me. So in conversations with my husband, he will say like, I mean, in the moment, maybe not all the time, but I want to shut down. I don't want to say anything because I'm going to say the wrong thing, and then I don't want to quote unquote get in trouble. So I'm distancing myself from my own husband because I'm afraid of what may happen. Could be the fact that I hear a negative voice in my head. It could be that says, Christian, nobody wants to hear what you want to say. My voice has been silenced before. So I'm just going to protect myself and keep my marriage and not say anything. And thankfully, we are going through a phase where he will not let me go too far without having a conversation, which I'm thankful for. And I'm realizing how uncomfortable that is for me because I talk all day, right? I'm a therapist. I sit with people all day, every day. And I do the work. And yet it felt so unsafe with someone who's so super close to me. So, how much of a disconnect do you have with the people that you know are significant for you? Identifying this gap and looking at connection in this way has been very eye opening for me because I learned something new about myself. I learned that Ray Ray needs to sit her ass down. She needs to be quiet, and not in the way that says your voice doesn't matter, but to allow 39-year-old Christian me now to tell her that you can use your voice and you can still keep the connections, that I can use my voice and I don't have to be afraid of being wrong, right? I had a conversation with a friend the other week where I was explaining to her that being wrong is a threat for me. I realized that I used my voice because it was not trained properly, because I was still trying to figure it out, that this fight response I have when I feel like something is wrong or that um, I may be perceived as wrong means I'm going to lose something. If I'm wrong, it equals a loss, and I can't afford a loss. A loss feels unsafe, right? Like we have to do this deep diving. That is what this grace gap is teaching me because I'm literally sitting in this box of connection and realizing I may not be who I thought I was, which is not a bad thing. We're supposed to be aware and learn the things about ourselves to take the next step. I'm hoping this is making sense so far. So, I want to give you guys some things to walk away with. The journal prompt, if you are feeling, thank you so much in the chat that you understand, what is a journal prompt that you can walk away with this week? Every time we get together, my goal is for you to walk away with something. And you can chew on this all the rest of the week, sleep on it tonight, or whenever you watch this, come back in the chat. Let me know what you feel comfortable sharing in terms of what came out of your prompts. If we're talking about the connection gap, where we are thinking about the relationship with ourselves first, y'all, that's what we have to nurture. We have to nurture all these parts and hear them and understand when mom Christian, wife Christian, Jesus's daughter, co-worker, director, leader, giver, whatever these parts are that you call them, your 20-year-old self who's going through this thing, this 12-year-old self, however you want to label them, it's really important for us to work towards getting them on a similar page. Now, I may need Ray Ray's tenacity. It may look different now as a 39-year-old, but I may need that later on, right? It's going to look different. So then I would invite you, if you haven't already, to name the part of yourself that you know shows up the most. Hear that part of you and ask them what they need. Now, in terms of connection, this is my challenge to you, the journal prompts for the week. And of course, I have notes. What's one way that you have been quiet to keep the peace? I said it earlier. I have given up pieces of myself, PIECE, for the illusion of PEACE. It was fake peace. Because how can I be peaceful and proud of myself and okay if I know I'm giving up something that I know that I need? My pride, my body, my money, my time. I'm a perfectionist to a degree. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm a people pleaser for sure in recovery because I want people to like me. I want things to be okay. But I'm going through a shift in my professional life where I know I just can't give up. Oh, I want you to be friends with me and like me just to be in your my orbit. I can't. I'm not doing that anymore because I'm sacrificing my own peace. I'm getting too old for that. And if you're watching this and you're below 39, right? Younger than me to whatever degree, then this is a great time to learn this lesson. You are going to be okay if you say no, if you set a boundary, and if you stick around for the Grace Gap series here live on Transformation Tuesdays here in July 2025, then this is a great time for you to stick around and make sure you are here for the enforcing boundaries talk that we have when we get to that part of the Grace Method. So, what is one way you're being quiet to keep your peace? If you want to share that now, you can. If you're live here with me, the other journal prompt that I want you to sit with is what's something you've avoided saying or doing because you do not want to lose connection. You may want to define what connection looks like for you. You might need to take that step back as you are getting into one or both of these questions over the next week or however long. Does connection mean that I must know everything about you to feel safe? That to me seems paranoid, right? It's a little bit of a trauma response depending on what you've been through and whatever the context around that is for you. But I need you to understand what connection means for you. And if I can do this again in real time, connection for me means that I feel physically safe. I know that I'm okay with you if we're out somewhere. I can tell you something and I don't feel judged. I feel more connected that way when I can share and it feels good, right? It feels like a right? Like have the freedom with yourself as you're putting language to things with me over the next few weeks to just define it how you want to. I can't I don't have a word for it, but you see I got a sound. I feel connected. I feel like we could take whatever we're doing now, whatever we're working on, and we can move forward together. Togetherness. I think that's what I'm going to settle around for what connection means for me. I didn't speak up when someone. I did not speak up about something that's bothered me. Is what my mom is saying in the chat. Something I learned very honestly. Thanks, Mom, for sharing. I think that's important. We got to know what the origin is for that. You can pick up mommy issues because that's also a very specific attachment rupture. And I talked about that differently than I did my daddy issues book, where I talk about my story. I will probably share some more about my experience as my mom's daughter at some point because I'm still working. And this is what you're seeing here. When I'm live here with you every week, or we're engaging throughout the week, or whenever you see this video, it's important for me that you are getting this at whatever time is going to be the time that you're supposed to get it. So we've gone through the quiz. If you have not taken this Grace Gap quiz, y'all, I am so looking forward to hearing what your connections are. I mean, what your gaps are. We got 2 connections and an adjust just tonight by you guys taking the quiz. When we are looking at each other's results, I'm asking y'all to be kind to each other because that was just the intro. Over the next few weeks, we're going to go step by step through each gap. We've gone over connection tonight. We will revisit because I think that's important. We're going to have grounding next week. And if your nervous system has been on edge, then that's going to be really important for you today. I mean, next week. If you know that you are constantly staying ready to get ready, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop in this relationship, at this job, with your kids, whatever it is, you need to exhale, right? So let's get into that 8 o'clock next Tuesday. We're going to wrap this up tonight because it's really important for you guys to make sure that you taken this quiz. So go to the link in my bio on Instagram. The link is right here for you live on Facebook. Follow me at Couch with Christian on both platforms, couchwithchristian.com. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Send them to my DMs. I'm there. I'm here for you. Remember what this connection means to you. How are you going to catch this little bonus? Connect to Earth, right? That's very grounding. We're doing the G and the C at the same time. So, off top, when we're talking about the grace method, understand that it is not linear and it is uniquely designed for what you need to get out of it, right? Like I created the grace method. It's not something that you do step by step, one by one. I'm looking forward to hearing how you use the grace method. I journal. I come and I talk about it. I'm going to therapy. I commune with my friends, right? And I didn't realize I was doing this work and that it was going to be the grace method. All these years I've been doing this therapy thing, right? I've had clients for a long time, been doing this for a minute, and it's finally come together to where I can articulate what it means to move through these really common issues when it comes to dealing with the relationship with yourself and other people. And we're going to take it chunk by chunk, free right here. So remember your journal prompts this week. If you have a new question that comes to mind, share it in the chat. Let's get through this together. I'm really excited to be with you guys here for the next month on this Transformation Tuesday. And I will see you guys later. I could talk all night, but that's not what this is for. I'm here to give you the things, chat while you're here, and then we're going to get into the work. I will talk to you guys later. And please, if you haven't already, like and share. Let a friend know. Make sure that they all know what's up when we are together and what the couch crew is doing together, what we have in store. And I will see y'all later. Bye, Facebook. I'll say bye to y'all first. All right, IG. That's it. Grace Gap is done.